What's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War and Manny Vitale's Wolfpack, and welcome to another beautiful scorcher in Detroit, Michigan. Man, I know we're getting hit with this weather everywhere, but it is hot, hot, hot. But anyways, still dealing with a little more time off before heading back to work, unfortunately. So, well, you guessed it. While I'm off, wanted to come on and bother you guys a little more, shoot the shit, have some fun, and just kind of catch up on a few things as well. Um, Talk to a few people as far as what's going on, as far as a couple of different shows as well, with between My Fighter War and the Wolfpack. And I just wanted to share that with you. With the Wolfpack, as I said, we will be discussing pretty much whatever topics need to be discussed. You feel like discussing, will be discussed. A lot of them, as you guys hopefully saw, me and my brother Ian Bick were on a couple weeks ago, and pretty much just chit chatting about things that were going on in his life, my life, our lives with my fight, his life with Locked In with Ian Bick. And then, of course, you saw a couple times going on with OG there discussing just simple things on the Wolfpack pages. Just hell, the other day, what was it? Sunday, we just had some silly ass facts and just fun stuff going on, regarding the Olympics. Um, and of course, our useful information that you'll probably never use again. But you know what? Hopefully, it got a little shits and giggles and having a little bit of fun in this crazy world of ours. And we are going to be turning the tide a little bit, changing speeds, changing directions. Um, as you guys know, that saw the show I did two actually. One kind of just giving some insight on a very, very, very amazing woman, Sean Hunt, who tragically lost her son with just tragic, senseless violence. It was January 14th. Her son, Jason Hunt, was tragically killed in a shooting in Pontiac. And since that date, I've talked to her a few times. In fact, she came on. We did a show together and kind of going over, just getting to know her a little bit about what happened that terrible, terrible day. And with to show the strength and the resilience that Sean has, something like that. It's just talking about it. It could be, people look at it different ways. As far as discussing it, could be almost therapeutic to try to, help out. Others say, something that painful, man. Every time it's brought up, it's just gut wrenching. It is, no matter what, it is. But that being said, Sean has chosen to try to take such a terrible tragedy and turn it into something positive, and by sharing her story, by sharing his story, by bringing out this senseless violence that is happening in our society every single day, and ways to hopefully try to prevent this. And as she said, man, the pain that that she's feeling along with her family, there is no way to put it unless you've dealt with it yourself. And so it's not one of those things where you can say, I'm so sorry, I know how you feel, unless, God forbid, something like that has happened. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Um, I did talk to Sean, and we are going to be meeting hopefully this weekend. She's very busy, and we're trying to mesh our schedules together to give a little more insight on a lot of different things about her, the family, the incident that happened, the amazing man that's Jason, and like behind the story, the backstory of all this. And again, she could have, just decided not to do this and, go on with her life as best she can with her and her family. But no, she, like I said, she wants to try to make a difference. So I give her so much credit to do this. And kind of look forward to that. And I will give you guys plenty of updates when the shows are going to be released, when we're going to do them. And we'll go from there. So even though it's going to be a very, very difficult show, a very difficult subject, she is just an incredible woman, and it's in her eyes, this is the bigger picture is to try to end this senseless violence. So I give her so much credit for that. So we're going to be doing that. I am waiting to hear something back from. I had that meeting a couple of weeks ago with FAN, and it previously was, I believe it was Families Against Narcotics, and they have branched out in so many different ways. Now it's called Fighting Addiction Now, and we met and discussed trying to get more involved with them as well. And I had a really good meeting, telling them exactly what we're doing as far as with My Fight Our War and all of the other amazing people and families who are part of this family, as far as what we're doing, as far as sharing and the support and love and stuff that's going on a daily basis. So I'm just waiting to hear back from there and from them. And once I do, again, I'll release that information as soon as I get it. After I'm done doing this, I'm actually taking a drive, and I'm going to meet with the people at CARE, who are just, again, all of these organizations are out there, and they're all out there for a reason, to help. And the one thing that I've talked to so many people within our own family at My Fight Our War, within the Wolfpack, within all of the other organizations and families out there that are doing exactly what we do, and which is helping people. And it's just getting the word out. I've had a lot of people say that maybe they didn't know about all these organizations. And, when you think about it, you know, why would you, unless, unfortunately, you or a family member, uh, an associate, whoever, friend is dealing with addiction. And that's when all of a sudden these other organizations start coming to the forefront. And, thank God for that. But, as I was talking with Kate and some of the people from FAN and talking to other individuals as well, as, what, it's kind of like, it's after the fact. And, let's try to get ahead of this, whether it's talking, to people at different levels, different ages. I mean, I remember when I was a lot younger, when I was way back in the day in high school, junior high, grade school, and all that, talking about drugs, violence, and everything. I'm a 80s baby, man. I graduated in 83. And I remember a lot of these subjects as far as the violence and drugs and all that stuff. I don't remember everything except for like junior high and high school. But as we can see, that's way too late. I mean, these have to be attacked and addressed and discussed in grade school, man. And I mean, how many times you hear stories within our own family, within, all these other families that, people started, you know, messing around with drugs and alcohol, 6, 7 years old. They see it's like a recorder, like a sponge. You see what you do, you imitate what you do. And it's just younger, younger, younger. And it's scary and it's sad. So, education, getting out there, teaching, and then, attacking it with what it is. And it's freaking evil. It's scary. And That's why, when we talk about this, I don't like to sugar, and I won't sugarcoat anything, because when you're dealing with addiction, recovery, and everything that goes along with it, there's nothing to sugarcoat, man. It is what it is. It's a very evil, dark, cold, empty life. We know that. Those of us are still lucky enough to be here, have lived it. And, what's so important is, I've had people that I've had this conversation with since I started my fight or war, is they're like, well, almost, telling me that, when I brought up grade school, they're like, oh, that's just that you're introducing it into their lives too young. You're introducing it into their lives when, wouldn't know about it. Well, guess what? They know about it already. And, if it's something that they're here at social media, here, right here, you want to learn something, you can learn something on push of a button, man. Go to the internet, Google this, Google that, and bam, it's right there for you. So, what do you want to do? You want to trust the internet? You want to trust social media to help our kids? I don't think so. So, it's up to us. And as uncomfortable and as scary as it is, it's either in our hands or other people's hands. So, and I've had people in the past as well, talking to them about um, discussing addiction, discussing the horrible things that go along with it. And I've had people say to me, that yes, they do have it. It's relevant in their families. Some people I've talked to, they're like, well, listen, Manny, I have a son, daughter, husband, wife, whatever, friend that is dealing with this. But we want to keep that private. And trust me, we understand. It's something you don't want to run around, unless you're comfortable in doing what you're doing. But I've also had people say, we don't talk about that. Outside these four walls, we don't discuss this. And then after further conversation, I've had people be honest and say, listen, it's almost one of those things of avoidance. If we don't talk about it, it's not there. If we don't talk about it, it's not happening. Well, guess what? Yes, it freaking is. And by not talking about it, not discussing it, you know what you're doing? You're putting a drink in your loved one's hands. By not talking about it, not discussing it, you're putting a needle in someone's arm. You're putting pills in their mouth. You're doing everything, just the opposite of what we should be doing. We need to be doing what a lot of all of you amazing people are doing, and that's shouting from the rooftops about education. And not only that, but the effects, the evil that addiction has over us. And as I've said before, dealing with other people's ideas and thoughts as far as what they feel about addiction, how they feel about it, as far as um, you want to get into an argument, no problem. Just get into a group of people and just say, who thinks addiction is a disease? You want to start an argument, boy. There you go. Because you're going to get a handful of people who are going to say it's that addiction is not a disease, it's a choice. And I don't get into that shit. We all have our own opinions on how we feel about that. And I love that. We need to have our own opinions and our own thoughts, because that brings about conversation. And again, my saying, man, controversy. I love controversy. Controversy brings about conversation, which brings about communication, thoughts, ideas, and everything else that goes along with it. So you may not agree with each other. You may not like each other before, during, or after. But if you take the time and you listen, I mean, honestly, listen and give and take as far as this conversation goes, you may not meet in the middle. You may not agree at the end, but you may have a little bit of foresight and looking into a little bit of, like, you know what? I don't agree with you 100%, but instead of not agreeing with you 100%, Okay, I get it. I get what you're talking about, and you kind of get to that common ground, and that's all we need, man. That little bit, so we can understand each other and how we're feeling, why we're feeling that way, and because as I said, I remember one time I had a conversation with with this uh, with this woman, and we were talking about just that disease, and it was because she had a friend. She was telling me about a friend of hers who um, had issues and with addiction. And actually, she had two friends. I mean, you talk about a perfect example on how people's outlook on addiction and disease. When she told me this, I told her, I go, I got to share this. When I go live, and it was she had a group of friends that they were all out, and that she was talking about. She had two friends, both unfortunately terminal, both with diseases that she decided to share, and she was telling them about a friend of hers who, unfortunately, uh, for quite a while, was dealing with cancer. Terrible disease, absolutely terrible disease. We can all agree on that. And it was something that this person decided to keep to themselves and wasn't sharing her diagnosis, symptoms, or anything with anybody. And that was her choice. You don't have to share anything that you don't want to. If it's your choice, your life. But unfortunately, um, it got to the point where the disease started to take over, and it got to the point, well, it was terminal. There was nothing that could be done. And, so this woman was very upset, obviously. And lo and behold, at the same time, another friend of hers um, was basically told that she had did not long to live, that it was terminal, and she told both stories. And the first one, she was talking about her friends. They were asking who it was and what was going on, and what were they suffering from, what was the disease. And she said, yeah, this friend of mine's been battling cancer for quite a while, and it metastasized and started to spread, and she fought and fought and fought, and unfortunately the disease, the cancer, ended up winning. And the group of people in there were very sympathetic, except for there was this well, I'm sorry, that they were very sympathetic. And she said yes, and she said if that wasn't bad enough, I have another friend who unfortunately is terminal due to an illness, a disease, and doesn't have long either. And they were like, oh my God, we're so sorry. And someone said, oh, is it, nowadays it's usually cancer with everything. And she said, no, she doesn't have cancer. Oh, and then the other people were saying, hey, listen, man, if there's anything we could do for you, if there's anything we could do for this person or their family, let us know. And, we will be more than happy to help out in any way we can. And as she was talking about the second person, they asked, what was going on. And she said, no, it wasn't cancer, that unfortunately they were dying because of their addiction, and they didn't have long to live. And there was one individual who said, oh, that's too bad, but well, that's not really a disease, and that's a choice that they made, unfortunately. So here you have two people, both terminal, both dying, terrible, suffering. And this one individual in the group was very sympathetic, heard both stories. What can we do? What can we do, to help? But yet, when it came to the one who was dealing with the addiction, who was terminal, this individual said, well, even though it's too bad, well, it's not like it's a real disease, and that was a choice they made. So almost kind of like, well, oh, sorry, but, oops. It was very upsetting for this lady because both of these people were very good friends with her of hers, and this person and the whole group, including this person who had her opinion, which is fine. We all have our own opinions. I will never slam anyone for that ever. We may not agree, but we all have our own opinions. So here you have the one who couldn't do enough, and then once the other one heard it was addiction, it was just like, oh well. I mean, and I mean that just pretty much sums it up. And when it comes to the fight, my fight, our war, when it comes to dealing with any disease, I don't care if it's cancer, diabetes, ALS, MS, cerebral palsy, myasthenia gravis, uh, anything that these terrible, terrible, terrible diseases, you know, we need to. I mean, look at when people, with COVID, man, we had the greatest scientists and doctors in the world, you know, coming together to try to find this cure for this deadly diseases, and pandemic that was going nationwide, killing everybody. So, yeah, rightfully so, man. We have to come together to try to, cure, to find something to help these people. Well, you know what? We need that same, fierce attitude to throw addiction into that same, conversation as far as all those other ones. And that's my opinion. I mean, you agree, don't agree, that's fine. But, that's how I feel is don't leave that out, and that's why people sometimes don't come forward with different things. It's almost like being shamed. And you know what? How terrible, how freaking ass terrible is that? To have someone who is dying. And, as far as making a choice, we can argue with that if you want. But, hey, I agree. You know what? No one made me take a drink. No one made me do drugs. No one made me do anything. So that part's true. And I have a lot of friends who are doctors and nurses and medical professionals. I am not about to get into the whole chemical imbalance as far as all that goes. Um, but here, just to be shunned, to be, almost like, well, here it was just very, very hard for this person. And again, because both people that were, unfortunately, terminal were friends, and this group of people, and the one who kind of just whatever, that, to the one friend who was dealing with the addiction, it was also a friend of hers. So it was very hard. And for me, I think the biggest thing is communication, and not, and always remembering that addiction is not a death sentence. Addiction is just a word. That's what it is. It's a word. And we need to attack it, and we need to realize that we come together and fight to help each other with all these other terrible diseases. These poor people, that and I look at a lot of people that I've had people in the past come up, or even recently, not the past, say, when they find out about my fight or war, they're like, well, I don't have any problems, with addiction, thank God. Either does anyone in my family, and I don't know anybody who's ever had any problems. Well, in today's world, I find it very hard to believe that there's someone out there that doesn't have any idea, or doesn't have anyone that they know, or know someone who knows someone. But, some people that, it's a very sheltered, sometimes it's almost like taboo, man. You don't want to talk about it because some people feel, hey man, if I don't talk about it, it's not here. If I don't talk about it, I don't have to deal with the reality that, yeah, it is here. So it's scary. Trust me. I was told, man, you're going to be dead in less than 6 weeks. 5 years ago, this coming January 27th will be 5 years that I was in that hospital, that I was woken up and told, you've got less than 6 weeks to live. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. And I can't tell you, man, that feeling, to be, I mean, there's not a lot of people that I've met that have been told what I was told and are still here to talk about it and discuss it. Um, and that was because my pancreas, kidneys, and liver were all failing while I was in the hospital back in 2020 for almost 30 days that I was in the hospital. And pretty much half of it was in ICU and just getting worse and worse by the day. And the whole time, my my organs were functioning, but barely, just barely. I was in organ failure that whole time because they were still functioning at a very low level until that fateful day when I was woken up and told that that the whole time up until now you have been in organ failure, but there has been some function. Unfortunately, Manny, now in the last 24 hours we've been doing your labs, um, they are no longer functioning. And there's no cure for organ failure. There's no cure for pancreas, kidneys, and liver. When they shut down, they shut down. And that's what happened to me. And the doctors pretty much said, that's it. Had hospice. God bless, hospice was there. They came in. I talked to them, and you talk about a very odd conversation to have. And like I said, I'm not saying I'm something special or anything like that, but for those people like me who have a conversation with people from hospice, it's usually maybe talking to the loved ones and family members about the loved one going into hospice care and explaining this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to take care of you. But this conversation was being told to me. And I was, sitting there all by myself, hearing these nurses from hospice say, we're going to be there with you, continuously. You will not be in any pain. We will have you on medication until your demise, until you pass. Having a conversation about my death, my pending death. And, and like I said, when you get to that point, you don't usually have the blessing that I've had. And here I am. And not only was it even more than that, but the thing that happened afterwards is that day, they're talking to hospice and everything. They came in, and I'm sure some of you heard this story. Maybe some of you haven't. So that was it. They were getting hospice set up, the hospital bed, everything at home, so I can go home and die at home. And the next day they came in, and later that night they were taking blood, and I didn't realize that day they came back a couple times. The next day they came in, and it was like every couple hours they came in and they were taking blood, taking more blood. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. They're taking all this blood from a dying guy. And then each time there were more doctors in my room, and didn't say anything. And the next day, more doctors piling, more blood work. And then the very odd question, how you feeling, Manny? Really? Let's see. You told me yesterday I've got less than 6 weeks to live because my organs are no longer functioning. Oh, I'm feeling just wonderful. Well, they're taking more blood, and I'm like, listen, I want to get out of here. And they're like, well, we're dealing with some paperwork, and they wouldn't tell me the truth. Come to find out, and I'll get to that. They said they're working on it. It's going to be another day or so. So that whole day, here come more doctors and more lab work throughout the day. Long story short, 7 days this goes on. The last day, my room was packed with doctors, and they're taking blood, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, what's going on, man? And Dr. Death, as I nicknamed him, came in with the rest of them, and they're standing at the end of my bed. And he grabs hold of my ankle, and he starts smiling and laughing at me. Well, I wasn't real happy about that, and my words let him know that. And so you're basically sending me home to die, and you're freaking laughing at me. His associate, this amazing younger female doctor, starts crying, and she says, "Manny, we're sending you home, but not to die." She said, "That's why you've been here, and that's why all these doctors are here. That's why we're taking all this blood." Is she said, "You shouldn't be here right now." She goes, "When we told you 6 weeks, we said that to try to give you the strength to hold on for a few days, just so your family could come in and say your goodbyes, just to give you that fighting edge, for a couple more days." She said, "We didn't expect you to last more than 48 hours." And she said, "The reason, you're still here, and or all these doctors are here, and all the blood work is because my lab work came back, and next thing you know, they're noticing changes in my blood work." Well, that shouldn't be, because nothing's functioning. Well, every time they took it, there was more changes, more changes. Not only was my levels and my the labs coming back, but they started to come back and start to stabilize. By the last day, next thing you know, they come in, my kidneys, pancreas, and liver all started functioning again. And all my limits, all of them were within normal limits. Now, you talk about a blessing from above, because, as the doctor said, that's why we're all here. You should not be here. You have been truly blessed, Manny. And I believe that 100%. And it's not the first time. I've been so blessed in my life. I was involved in a serious confrontation with a shooting with a gun shoved into my face right here, trigger pulled. And I got a plate right here. A year later, I got stabbed in the face right here. My appendix burst. I've had an issue with the surgery and both lungs filled with blood. I have a huge scar on my right arm where I developed sepsis during a procedure in the hospital. I've had numerous, I had an umbilical hernia rupture. And, I've been so truly blessed. I mean, my last back surgery 2 months ago, or a month ago, I started a hemorrhage, and, I'm still here. And that's why I say, man, all of us in this family, we are warriors, we are fighters, we are champions, man. And it's just, the things that happen in our lives, and I'll never forget that day. And like I said, unless you have been personally told yourself by hospice that you are going away, and you have no chance. I mean, and then think about it. I laid there for 7 days waiting to basically pass away. So, we all deal with our situations differently. But to do something that would affect someone in a negative way, as far as helping, reaching out, treatment, care, whatever it may be, it's just it's just amazing, I'm kind of, every now and then, when I've told this story quite a few times, and every now and then it affects me a little different. And so, I apologize for a little scattered right here, but as I said, when you're woken up, I can honestly say that morning when that doctor woke me up, I didn't think he'd be waking me up to telling me, that I was going to die. So that's why a lot of times when people say, that sometimes, I get very intense when I'm discussing some things, and it's almost like a personal, like, man, you take this personal against addiction. And I do. I made those choices. I made those decisions, but addiction tried to kill me because of my stupid decisions and still the things I did. I'm still here, and I'm going to fight like crazy. And I want to do everything I can to help fight for everybody that's part of my fight our war and the Wolfpack and every other family out there that we're part of, that's part of us. We are part of a fraternity of heroes, man. And I know some people won't agree with that are not dealing with the situations that we are dealing with, and that's fine. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. All I'm saying is all of us that have fought this fight to still be here and not give up. I've had people say that people, with addictions they're weak and selfish and this and that. And you know what? When we're dealing with addiction, active addiction, yeah, you know what? I'll give you that because we don't care about anything at all except for the addiction and ourselves and getting, the next fix. So I'll give you that. But after the fact and the blessings that we get and we are here and in recovery and we are helping each other, the furthest thing from the truth is saying selfish. Because as you guys know, one of the first things that happens when we are dealing with a positive situation is what do? How do we help someone else? How do I take my experience and reach out and lend a hand? We could, no one would blame us if we took this situation and just sat there and loved life so much just to be alive and just enjoyed every second on our own because of not wanting to miss a moment of that. But that's not what we do. We reach out. We start shows and families. We interact. We share ideas, and we do all these things to help people. That's not selfish. That's heroic. So that's why I choose my words. I don't just throw them out there. I choose them carefully when I label what we are. And again, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Totally fine, man. And but every one of us, in my eyes, we are warriors. We are champions. We are, you know, we are family. We are love. We are support. We are motivation. We are caring. We are all those things. And it carries over to other aspects of our lives as well. So I'm very, very proud to be part of this fraternity. And it's up to all of us to use our voice for the ones who unfortunately are no longer here. A lot of us, we have lost family, we've lost friends, and it's up to us to let their voices be heard. And so I thank you for your stories. I thank you for coming on. And please, more, 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 more. I know I keep asking, but please come on if you're ready to share your story. Please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. Please don't ever think that your story or your input isn't enough because I've had that happen. I've had people watch a show and I've had someone on or do a live or a record or whatever it may be. And, after the fact, I've had people say, you know what, Manny, I don't know if I want to come on and tell my story because so-and-so's story was so intense and mine is no big deal. And no one will really care about what I have to say. It's like, don't ever sell yourself short. Don't ever do that because your story, your words, we are all different. Every one of us are different. You could have two people, the same everything, same addiction, same age, same everything, and have two totally different outlooks on recovery, two totally different outlooks on life. And the one thing is with addiction is it makes us feel alone, and we are not alone. And more than that, I'm living freaking proof. Addiction is not a death sentence. So I love you guys, man. And you know, we are family. And I've had people ask about, well, how can I make a difference? Just like I'm doing right here. Talk, just talking, share, share stories. Don't judge, no matter what, no matter how good, bad, ugly, or indifferent someone's story may be. Whether you maybe not like this person on a personal level, I don't care. You know what? Don't be judgmental. We don't know why people say the things that they say, just in normal everyday life. You don't have to be suffering from addiction to be an asshole. There's plenty of assholes around who are sober. Actually, I saw something that was sent to me. Said, "Manny, this gotta fit you." It said, in alcohol's defense, I've done some pretty screwed up shit when I was perfectly sober. So, but you know, um, the bottom line is, let's be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And you know, we need to let people know. Again, I know broken record. First and foremost, you are not alone. I've seen, unfortunately, a little bit recently now, I've seen a couple of different people saying, nobody understands what I'm going through. And, nobody cares. And that's addiction, man. That's what it is. You know what? Do we know exactly what you feel? No, no, we'll never know that. We're all individuals. But for all of us who are dealing with addiction, all of us who are dealing with some of the same issues, we have gone through a lot of the same circumstances, so we can relate to what you're going through. And we're not saying we know exactly, not at all. But again, that's addiction coming out, trying to make you think you're alone. And then another thing is, please, please, please don't think that everybody has somebody. If you have an idea that someone's having an issue um, with any type of addiction, mental health issues, anything at all, if you think that there's an issue, you know what? There probably freaking is. Because for you to have that little spark, that little, that moment about somebody, especially if it's someone, that you've known a while, you know what? Chances are there is something going on. Please don't brush it off and don't worry about upsetting somebody. You know what? I'd rather have someone pissed off at me and alive than someone, that I would just assume that everything's okay and then go to their funeral. So, and as far as, I've had people as well say, well, you know what, man, so and so has so many friends and such a huge family. They got plenty of support. No, when it comes to dealing with addiction, you could be surrounded, physically surrounded by people, surrounded by family, surrounded by friends, and be 100% alone. So don't assume. And again, do not use addiction as the word addiction as taboo, because it's not. It's just a word, and we are stronger than words. We are people. As I said, you guys know how I feel about what we are and who we are. So that's about it, man. Like I said, I just wanted to pop on here and give a little update about my friend Sean, who tragically lost her son. That we're going to be doing some support and some stories about her and her son. Also, just wanted to give a shout out to another friend who just starting off with us, Ronnie Walcher, who is part of Second Choice Recovery Group. Just starting to get to know her. And again, these are people who are just coming into our lives. And you know what? They're coming into our lives for a reason. God has a reason for anything and everything. It's not by chance. You know what? There's a reason. So remember that someone pops into your life and it's just like, oh, that was kind of weird. No, it's not weird. It's because it was meant to be. It was meant to be, because we are going to just keep growing this family. We're going to keep spreading the love and support and motivation is what we're going to do. So, Ronnie, I look forward to talking to you some more. And again, I'll give you more information as far as fan and care. And I will give you the information as far as that friend of mine, Sean, and her son. Also, on a lighter note, um, my brother Ian Bick and myself are going to be going live again. He is heading out of town. Be back next week, and when he does, we are going to be going live and having a good old time. So you don't want to miss that. So, like I said, me and Ian Bick will be going live sometime next week or the week after, depending on how things go. Sharing a lot of good times and stuff like that, and sharing a little bit of information as far as upcoming things, as far as shows and that goes. So, you guys have a great day, and Ruthie and Mike. I see my cousins on there. Ruthie, thank you so much for always showing your love and support on here. Really appreciate it. And of course, my cousin Tony, I love you, cuz. Thank you for everything. I hope you and Laura are doing good. And to everyone else, man, who's part of our incredible family at My Fight or War, and also those of you who are coming on with Manny Vitale's Wolfpack, thank you, thank you for the support. Um, and I really, am looking forward to getting some more feedback and some more ideas to get more people to come on. I know it's not easy, to sit here and spill your guts about anything. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, just think about some people when it comes to public speaking. And I was one of them, man. I didn't want to talk to myself. Now it's 46 minutes later. I've been sitting here rambling to a microphone. So um, I get it. So it's hard. So I mean, if you get to that point and you want to come on, I would be more than honored to have any of you come on as a guest to share your stories, whether it's recovery, addiction on My Fight or War. And again, if you have something other than that you want to, expand on, that's why Manny Vitale's Wolfpack page and show is there to talk about pretty much anything and let it rip. So you guys have a great day, and I love you guys, man. You guys, you help me so much, and just in my attitude and my frame of thought and all the things that keep me going, and I really appreciate it. So until next time, man, we will be chit chatting. Enjoy the Olympics. Enjoy each other, and as always, keep fighting a good fight. I love you guys.